This is the Jae Choe Show, brought to you by Karate Beyond. Discipline, focus, confidence. KarateBeyond.com. Let's begin.
Anyway, yeah. All right, here we go. All right, so Jae Choe Show, episode 104. I'm here with Jason Rodda of the famed Rodda Construction in Lakeland. But you guys don't just relegate yourselves to just doing construction projects here in town, right? Or is it primarily here?
Primarily, we do work here, just here in Polk County and here in Lakeland. But we do work kind of all throughout Central Florida. We've got a project in Ocala right now, and have done stuff out of state here or there. But most of our focus is in Lakeland and the kind of the greater Lakeland area.
Okay, because I mean, here in the immediate South Lakeland spots, I mean, you have anything that's being built pretty much has the Rodda logo or the sign out in front of it, namely Florida Southern College, right? You guys got the new computer science building that's coming up.
Yeah.
And then what else around there? And then you did not Florida Southern College, but, well, I mean, kind of, like Roberts Academy.
Yeah.
The new building for their middle school.
Yeah, we've been real blessed to be able to do a lot of great projects with Florida Southern over the last 20 years or so. Pretty much all the projects that are along the lakefront, which is kind of the front door for the college. We've been privileged to be able to work with them. And like you said, Roberts Academy, their new Doctor of Physical Therapy building on Florida Avenue there in Dixieland. So they're a wonderful school of my alma mater. So happy to be able to work with them and do a lot of cool projects that they've to make that school really just amazing.
It's a beautiful campus, right? And so Florida Southern College, for those that don't know, is well known for being the home of the world's largest collection of Frank Lloyd Wright architecture.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I come from an architecture background. I graduated from the University of Florida and have a degree in landscape architecture. And so when people think of Lakeland, they think of Frank Lloyd Wright, and Frank Lloyd Wright is just heralded in the design community. But it's very particular so far as the design is concerned, because if you've never been to Florida Southern College, you have these, I want to say, walkways or breezeways that are covered, partially
Esplanades
covered.
is what they're
Esplanades,
called.
right? That have, but the ceilings on those are so low.
Yes.
Like, you feel like if you're like a 6-foot person, you feel like your hair's going to brush the ceiling of these esplanades.
And if you're not careful and you walk by the corner of one of them, they even jut out to where you can clip your face on them even if you're 4 feet tall.
So it's a strange spot, but beautiful nonetheless. And so you guys are kind of furthering the Frank Lloyd Wright tradition, if you will, with the newer buildings.
Yeah, even when I was going to school there, I was actually part of the landscaping and kind of the beautification committee that was instilled as part of the master plan. Because when I was going there around 2000 and graduated in 2002, it was a nice campus and it had the historic architecture, but it was starting to really fall apart and needed a lot of maintenance, and just kind of the overall grounds and appearances were nothing like they are today. And so to be able to be a part of that while I was still in school, and then to graduate and come to work and be able to be a part of implementing that and implementing all the beautiful buildings that have gotten built and the landscaping and the gardens and all things that have gotten done since then has really been cool to kind of see all that come to fruition. And now they've been named one of the most beautiful campuses in America numerous times, which is really cool to be able to help be a part of that.
You grew up here in Lakeland?
Yep.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Born and raised in Lakeland, and you didn't want to leave. You didn't want to go to a different college and like party or something. I did. To go Florida State University instead of like Florida State or UF or University of Miami, somewhere,
Well, I did. I actually went to Notre Dame my freshman year. I am not Catholic, but I played baseball in high school, and Notre Dame offered me a scholarship to come there to play baseball, and so I went and did that and loved it. It was, talk about a beautiful campus. That place would rival Florida Southern for the beauty of its campus and history and all that stuff too. It's amazing. But then when I came back after Christmas break, there was like 6 feet of snow piled up in big drifts all the way around campus, and it was way too cold for this Florida boy. So I was back was back as soon as I could be, and Florida Southern was just a perfect spot. And
Right.
glad that I came back. Glad that I went away for a little while, but very glad that I came back.
Man, that's I did not know about that. I know that about you. Baseball scholarship to Notre Dame. That's impressive.
Yeah, I was really good a long time ago for a brief time, I'd say.
Okay, all right. What position did you play?
I was a pitcher.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, what a stud!
Yeah, so
Stud athlete with a scholarship to Notre Dame, and 1 year of snowfall.
1 year, that was it. I was like, it was about 3 days, and then I was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta figure out a way to get back home.
Was that bad, really, or you just miss home, or what?
It was both. I also, while I was away on that Christmas break, met Abby, who was then my girlfriend. I met her, and we went on our first couple dates, and now we've been married for 15 years, so. Or still be 16 years here in a couple days, but
okay. So it was Abby.
She was a part of it, and all of my father was one of the assistant coaches at Florida Southern. All the guys that I had played baseball with in high school were playing baseball at Florida Southern at the time, and so it was like, why am I halfway across the country freezing when my wife, all my buddies, or my future wife, all my buddies, and my dad and everybody else is at Florida Southern in Lakeland, where I'm familiar and the place that I love. So. I was up there for 1 year and transferred then that next summer.
Okay, all right. Man, that's a jump. I mean, you must have had friends that were kind of envious of your situation, be like, "Hey, man, you got a scholarship to Notre Dame." That's Rudy territory, right?
It was a great opportunity. That's why I took it and didn't have any second thoughts about doing it. But just ultimately wasn't the right place for me.
Baseball is a sport that I don't know enough about, but I do know that it is a difficult sport. Did you have aspirations with pro ball?
No, I knew even from when I was younger that I probably had a ceiling on what my talents would be, and so I didn't have any visions of doing that. I saw it as a tool to get to college and to be able to have new experiences, to be involved in sports and stuff like that. So I loved it and loved what I did. Some of my best memories actually all my good memories of growing up and in school, a lot of them centered around playing baseball and sports, and the friends that I got to meet there and the coaches that I met are still people now who I'm close with and who were great mentors and all. So yeah, knew that it was something I needed to do, but also I didn't have any false hopes of becoming some famous person because of my skill set either.
I'm listening to an audiobook. I don't know if it's an unauthorized biography of Tiger Woods or whether it was authorized. I don't know, but it talked about how Tiger's father knew right away at such an early age that he was to be this phenom, a star athlete, right? Once in a lifetime athlete. And I'm still listening to the book, of course, but it seems like that Tiger knew it himself, that he knew that he had a gift. His parents, of course, told him that he was special, and he climbed these magnificent heights in sport. But if you talk to a kid now who isn't, you recognize that not necessarily a star athlete, but in their mind, they could probably picture themselves being in the World Series, getting picked up, a first round draft pick in whatever respective sport they have. I mean, there's a maturity that not a lot of kids have when they're in college to know whether or not they're just good enough or they're just fooling themselves. I mean, it seemed like you knew kind of right away, freshman year, that... I would say, I grew up, I was 1 year younger than both Lance Necro and Matty Diaz, but both of those two guys I've been lifelong friends with. And even when we were in Little League, and even especially once we got to high school, and I played with Lance and then Matty played at Santa Fe, you could just tell that those guys were just better than everybody else. There was just a little something, just an extra gear that they had, just something that you couldn't really put your finger on, but you could just tell that those guys are just better than everybody else, and they're certainly a lot better than me. And so it's funny then to fast forward a few years, and all the people who thought that they had the aspirations to want to play
might have gotten an opportunity, might have done it, but the only two guys who, even from when we were kids, seemed like they were the different kids, both ended up playing in the major leagues and, becoming, pro ball players, and now are both, still involved in baseball. Lance is the coach at Florida Southern, Maddie's the coach at Lakeland Christian. How it's just...
I don't even know those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know baseball, so they're like completely foreign.
Well, you need to get to know both those guys too.
They're
both awesome guys. They're both born and raised in Lakeland too, and have kind of had a similar journey of going away and having cool experiences, but ultimately coming back here to Lakeland and raising a family here and those kinds of things too.
I mean, my neighbor here is head coach at one of the colleges, not Southern, but I don't want to mention his name, but. Yeah, he played pro ball, and looking at the guy, you're like, yeah, I can totally see that. You're a big dude, muscular dude, and I mean, I could totally picture him being a pro ball player. But I mean, that's like a lottery a win, right?
It is. Yeah.
The odds of ever making it to the pros is so small.
Yeah, there's a lot of stats of for every 1.5 million kids that play Little League baseball, and at every level you go up to, the 13-year-old league to junior varsity, college, single A, as you work your way up, that all those stats go down to where 2 or 3 out of every couple of million kids who play youth baseball actually end up having a career playing baseball. That it's not an easy thing to do, and it takes a lot of I think you said it right. It's kind of like winning the lottery. Everything has to go your way.
Everything has to make it. Money has to go your way. Some sort of luck and eyeballs have to be put your way.
And injuries, staying away from injuries, and it's just there's a lot.
And another neighbor of mine here, he said that he was really involved in tennis, all up until high school, but then. I guess he played who was it, Andy Roddick as a kid, and he knew right away that I don't have the goods. I'm not cut from the same cloth as these guys that are just exceptional. He just knew right away. He's like, I'm maybe a college player at best.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, and use that as a tool to like you said, be able to go to the school that you want to go, and then use those opportunities to work hard and focus on the degrees you want to get and the experience you want to gain and those kinds of things.
Yeah. So Notre Dame came back, went to Southern. Did you play ball at Southern as well?
I did. I had shoulder surgery midway through my first year, so I didn't play. And then after my sophomore year, right as I was rehabbing and coming back, I got hit in the head with a line drive and never played again after that.
No.
It was scary.
It was not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't talk about concussions much in baseball. When you get hit by a ball, I mean, especially you get hit in the head. I mean, were you out for the entire season? I actually
was not. I never went unconscious somehow, but I was at Henley Field up there by the hospital, and I was pitching, obviously, and the guy hit a line drive. I never even saw it. I think I was trying to go to pick the ball up, but obviously never made it that far, and just ended up going down and went to the hospital and spent 2 nights in the hospital after that, and that was the end of my career. But
whoa, I mean, how did you feel at the point? It was like massive headache.
It was
for several days, I would imagine.
Yeah, and actually it probably was really probably a couple of months. And one of the things that they did say too was, just kind of be on the lookout for, change in your mood and your feeling and depression. And I've never been someone who's been predisposed to those kinds of things. And in those times, I don't think I realized it, but looking back on it a few months later, after I had basically gotten totally back to normal, both my wife, my family, and everybody else was like, you really were kind of a different person there for that little bit of time. So it's it was an interesting time, but again, it was just another opportunity to be able to focus instead of continuing to play baseball and doing something that wasn't going to lead me anywhere further. It let me focus real hard, and I took on an extra major at Southern and another minor, and really doubled down on finishing up my school and doing a great job, and those kinds of things. So it was all for the right plan.
It worked out. Tell me about your family. So your mom and dad. How many generations in Lakeland are you guys?
My mother came here when she was a little girl, and my dad came here when he was a sophomore in high school. They met at Lakeland High School, and then got married. They were high school sweethearts, got married here. So they were both first generation Lakelanders. So then they had me a little bit later. I have one younger sister, Leslie, who's a couple years younger than me, and I have 4 kids. She also has 4 kids. So my 2 parents ended up with 8 grandkids just from having 2 kids. So
jeez, good grief, guys. Man, you guys know how to have some big families. Okay, all right. The company Rodda that you have, I mean, you guys do a lot of work in town, of course, and things are beautiful. What do you guys like to specialize in?
Really, what we focus in is kind of in the geographic area. I would say that we do most of our work, like I said earlier, here around, and we kind of focus on a broad range of different kinds of commercial construction. We do a lot of schools, a lot of healthcare work, churches and religious facilities, apartments, offices. We kind of do a lot of different types of construction projects. That's why people say, "Oh, your signs are all over the place." It's like, well, it's because we're not doing work, all over the southeast or doing work in other areas. We kind of focus our effort on all kinds of different commercial construction, just kind of here in the geographic area.
Right. What is it most that you like about the company?
Really, a lot of it is just kind of what my father, when he founded our company, was built on, is just being able to help other people, help subcontractors, help our owners be able to make their projects happen and make neat things happen. To be able now to drive around with my kids and say, yeah, that was the first project that I worked on, or we built that, or to be able to show them the things that we've been able to help build here in town. It's just it's a neat legacy, both of what was being built when I was a kid by my father when he started our business, and that now I'm being able to do with my kids now that I'm in charge of it. So it's cool.
Well, I mean, you guys definitely have work around town that is just of note and that is beautiful. Versus, I don't know. I mean, Lakeland's not known for architecture besides, of course, the campus, Florida Southern. If you look all up and down Florida Avenue and some of these bigger streets, it's kind of like it's a bit dismal for a while. But now, I mean, everything's looking new and modern and fresh, and I don't know. It's exciting times. What do you think about all this explosive growth in town?
I do think that we're headed in a good direction. I think that we're continuing to kind of diversify what our economy is, and I think that is helping people to have confidence to be able to invest in new things. And it's not just retail, it's not just the big box warehouses or distribution facilities, because for a while that was kind of what we were doing, what we were known for, and those are great things and great developments to have happen, but that we've I think finally have turned a corner of getting all kinds of different development here and all kinds of different growth, which is great, because that's what you want, is to be diverse, both in where the projects are happening and in what they are, and then that of course leads to people wanting to do things that look nice, that are of high quality, and that we're developing our city in the right way. So there's been a lot of effort that the city planners and leaders have done, and a lot of community people too have gotten done to try to help reinvigorate downtown. And there was a huge effort that was done back 5 or 8 years ago that I was part involved with, called Ignite Lakeland, of just trying to focus on how can we help make downtown a better, more vibrant place. That there had been
a place that you'd want to hang out. Take your family.
It had been 10 years at that point. I think it ended up being almost 11 years between major construction projects in downtown Lakeland, which is just crazy at that time. And to try to set that groundwork for, how can we tee up downtown to be a place that people want to invest in, live in, and then work in and play in. And that it's really cool now to be able to look back, 5 or 8 years later and go, man, not only did a lot of those things happen, but now things are happening outside of the original vision of what everybody had, that it has just kind of organically grown even bigger.
I mean, 10 years ago, if you talked about downtown, nobody was there. With the exception of a couple bars and maybe a restaurant or two, nobody was asking to go, hey, let's go downtown. This wasn't happening. But now it's a mainstay as a Lakelander. Tell us what you like outside of of work outside of what you do for a living? What are your passions?
I spend a lot of time with my family. With having 4 kids, we try to make sure that we have a focus on spending time with them. We love hanging out down at the beach. We go to Anna Maria whenever we get a chance, so that's fun and enjoyable.
It's like an extension of Lakeland.
It is.
Anna Maria Island is like, you go, everyone goes there. Now it's just crowded. Now everybody knows how good AMI is.
We were down there this past weekend, and the traffic was unbelievable. We'd have been better off walking.
Right, and you just run into people that you know
all the time.
Yeah. Which is nice, I guess. Is like the home outside of home, beachfront, of course. Okay, all right. So hanging out. No baseball.
We do. So my son plays baseball at Peterson Park, and so I've helped manage the team that he's played on and have gotten to be involved there, which is cool because the first year Peterson Park was built was my second year ever playing t-ball. So I grew up out there when those trees were 3 feet tall, and now they're 30 feet tall. So it's really a neat opportunity to be able to go back there and now coach and work with not only my son but all the other kids that you get to deal with and the parents and just all those cool opportunities to help them grow into the young men that you want them to be. I remember telling them or thinking and telling my wife, I want to raise these kids so that they'll be, little boys that I want my daughters to date someday. That we're raising up, young men and women that we can be proud of and that are respectful and
nice.
Those kinds of things. So I do spend a lot of time there at the baseball field also, but it's really neat to have that come full circle to be back at Peterson Park.
Right. And not too many people think about that. The attitude of it takes a village to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Lakeland, we're pretty blessed to have a lot of people that feel the need to be a good example of how to treat each other. Whether it's like baseball coaches and teachers and just public figures. I don't think other cities have that as much because maybe it's because cities are just too big. But the most important thing that we can do as adults is be good examples and good leaders for kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be running the show when we get older, and we want them to be good people, responsible, kind, caring people. I think that's a really important thing that I think everyone as an adult needs to be aware of. When I go to the store and I see an adult or a would-be parent that's just not like that, or they're just cursing up a storm, or doing things that may be unsavory, I just think to myself like, hey, you do realize you have a responsibility. Like there's kids around, that makes an impression.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it does, and maybe it's. Certainly my parents raised me that way to think about others and to, my dad coached me from when I was in t-ball all the way until I was into high school. And, when he was starting our business, certainly didn't have the excess time to be able to volunteer for 10 hours a week coaching Little League Baseball. But, he made that sacrifice to do that. And it wasn't just because he wanted me to be a good baseball player. I could see that even when we were, when I was a kid, and he would talk to me about it that, I'm doing this for like you said, for kind of the betterment of all of the kids that are there. And, when he passed away about 3 years ago, and I bet I had 10 people, several of whom I hadn't spoken to in 20 years, email me or call me or whatever and just say, hey, your dad was like a second dad to me when I was a kid, that I didn't have a dad when I was growing up, or, that I just was, had hard times or whatever. And that, even if it was only for one season or for a couple of years or through high school, that, just having somebody in their life that they knew cared about them and that kind of stuff. So, I kind of was raised around it, but then when you get that reaffirmed, when you actually hear that legacy 20 years later of that it does matter to those kids, that it does make an impact on their life, makes me even want to do it more. Those days when I don't feel like I want to go out to the ball field and deal with a bunch of 9-year-old boys running around like maniacs.
Who does?
It's like, they need it. And, they need somebody out there who's going to let them be boys, but is also going to, try to dive into their lives and, help them succeed and grow. And
Be some sort of mentor.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's in the smallest of ways for the shortest periods of time, be a mentor.
Yep.
Be a mentor to a young person.
Especially when they fail. That's what I love about, especially baseball, is it's a sport where you fail 70% of the time and you're a success, is, helping it. It's really easy for kids to just, I'm the best, I'm a winner, I get a trophy. That mentality in our society is so prevalent that when you get into sports and they face adversity, is to be able to walk them through it and help them through it in a healthy way of caring about it. And it is okay for you to be upset or for you to be disappointed, but don't use that as to quit or to be angry or to whatever else. Use that to focus on what can you do better. Don't blame other people, but how can you help make yourself better?
Yeah, a we mentality instead of a me. Right. Before the show, we talked about a mutual friend, Ashley Troutman,
mm-hmm.
and how he's a pretty selfless guy, outstanding individual. And I'm going to ask you a question now, all right, that I asked him, and I asked him, and I'll ask you, what do you want? And this is just personally, your personal aspirations. What is it that you want? Whether it's a material aspiration or whether it's just, like a life goal that you have. What are your aspirations?
I would say my biggest aspiration is that all 4 of my kids grow up to be Christian adults, and that they can help continue their, the legacy that my father and mother started in our community of, caring about other people and just being involved in our community. Like I said, it's a lot of what I focus on doing, and so it is Ashley did give you a lot of answers that were that weren't necessarily about him. They were very selfless, because Ashley's a very selfless guy, and I guess I'm kind of in the same thing too. But that's something that I focus a lot of my energy on is just trying to make sure that I'm imparting on my kids the lessons that I've learned, the things that I've got, and they're ultimately the legacy, the personal legacy that I will leave, my wife and I will leave. But just continuing to see Lakeland prosper, for us to be able to hopefully be involved in building buildings and developing things around here, being a part of neat projects for a long time. My son tells me that he wants to work at Rodda Construction. That's what his aspiration is.
That's
so
cool.
I said that's awesome, but that also means that I've got a lot of work to do, just like my dad did for me, to kind of make sure that he's in a position, hopefully, if he so chooses, to be able to do that and carry that on, because it would be neat to have any one of my kids be able to take on the business someday and keep moving with it. Would be amazing.
Or better yet, want to actually be around you.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're still dad, right? You're still dad. You're still carrying and have to be a disciplinarian at times, and I have to make some hard choices. You're still dad, and for them to love you enough and to want to just hang out and work with you, because I know from personally that family businesses, they're hard, not easy. Parents shouldn't be so lucky.
Yeah, we are a true family business. Not only did my father start our company and now I work there, but his brother, my uncle Jody, was one of the very first employees, and is our vice president of construction still. So he and I are partners and work together, hip to hip every day. Their sister Cindy is one of our superintendents. Both of Jody's kids, Nikki and Joe, both work with us also. So we're truly an extended family business.
You guys aren't at each other's throats.
I can tell you that I don't think we've ever had a fight. I mean, there are maybe times that we, have different opinions, but
sure,
get over it quickly. And I don't know that my dad and Jody ever had a fight about anything. I can't think of a time that we ever had. And so we all try to be peacemakers, and really a lot of it, I think, is just we all understand the goal of what we're trying to do and the vision, and just if everybody's trying to work towards a singular vision, it makes it easier to try to do that. So
okay, all right, you and Ashley, both of you guys, two peas in the pod, selfless. Okay, and I asked for yourself, not for your kids. Is there something that you want for yourself? You know what? Let's make it base. Let's say you want to go on a vacation, right? But it's going to be, it could be with the family, entire family, but you wanted to say, hey, we need a new RV or something, or you want a cabin in the Carolinas, on the river or something. Well,
so there's two different things, and they both kind of involve around traveling and all that. So my son and I set out about this time last year, to try to visit every single Major League Baseball park and watch a game together. And we got to 2 of them, and then the pandemic hit, and so we've gone an entire year now without being able to go to a game. So I was going to be 3 games a year for 10 years. I thought, hey, we can do this. That'll be no problem. We can make that happen. And as of now, that number is starting to grow. So that would be a great one. And the other one is that we like to travel the country with our kids and visit national parks. So we visited 109 national parks so far with them. So I don't know that it would be necessarily seeing them all, because I'm not sure that's even really feasible. But
sure.
Just having us be able to continue to do that and spend that time together as a family, and just get to see all the cool things that our country has to offer it's a lot of fun. We really love doing it.
Jeez, man, you're such a good dude. You're such a nice person. You remind me of Ned Flanders from The Simpsons.
I love The Simpsons.
I say that.
I probably like Homer more than that.
No. I mean, my kids started watching The Simpsons recently, and I don't know why they decided they were going to start watching, and they started from season 1, episode 1.
Good, that's the right way to do it.
And I'm like, you guys enjoy this? They're like, yeah, it's funny. I'm like, oh yeah. It made me feel really good that they're watching that show. I mean, obviously, some of the content is
yes,
way above what they know, but I mean, eventually they'll figure it out. But anyway, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate your entire family, and coming to Karate Beyond and everything. And yeah, what do? You know what? I do have a question to ask. Lunchtime spots in Lakeland. Where do you like to eat?
We typically eat kind of right. Our office is actually right down the street from Karate Beyond. We typically eat at Jimmy John's and Mission, Jason's Deli, all the places that are close by. What we try to do every day is have all the guys in the office, all of our project managers, and Jody and I all get together and have lunch together every day. That way we kind of can spend a half an hour or an hour kind of informally keeping up with each other, both personally, but also if there's stuff going on at work that we can stay together and do. So we kind of do, I wouldn't really call it a working lunch, but we like having lunch together every day. So we're okay going to the same 2 or 3 spots every week, but being able to do it there together is fun. We like doing that.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, Jason, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Jae Choe Show. Brought to you by Karate Beyond. Discipline, focus, confidence. KarateBeyond.com. Martial arts classes for men, women, and children. After school pickup, evening classes, and summer camp. Visit KarateBeyond.com.